Good morning. Welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Wednesday, September 9th, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S., 5:30 p.m. in Monte Carlo. In Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX overseas. Our AOL Instant Mail address is CATEX-TV. On this day in 2001, 2 days before the terror attacks in the U.S., Al-Qaeda assassinated a Northern Alliance leader in Afghanistan, Ahmad Shah Massoud, who was known as the Lion of Panjshir. It's thought that bin Laden's successful killing of Massoud was a favor that was returned promptly by the Taliban 2 days later when they provided him with shelter after the U.S. began to hunt him. Today's birthdays, the British actor Hugh Grant is 49 years old today. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, President Obama addresses a joint session of Congress on the healthcare initiative. Everybody is waiting in rapt attention for that news. Also, some news that I just saw here is that mortgage applications are at the highest level in the past 4 years because interest rates have gone down even further for mortgages. Now to our main news. Main news today, unfortunately, comes from Istanbul, Turkey. We have a number of viewers in Istanbul, and we wish them well. Flash floods have gushed across a major highway and a commercial district in Istanbul this morning, killing at least 30 people. Dozens of people in cars have been stranded on rooftops. Some of the dead actually drowned inside their cars. Fueled by the worst rain in decades, waters rose more than 3 feet in the city's Ikateli district, cutting off the route to Istanbul's main airport, as well as the highways to Greece and Bulgaria. The governor said that 8 other people are still missing, 20 were injured. Stranded motorists desperately climbed onto the roofs of their vehicles, hoping to be rescued. 4 helicopters and 8 boats were sent out into the downtown areas. TV footage showed trucks crushed against each other by the powerful floods. One group of victims were 7 female factory workers in the Halkali district of Istanbul. They drowned trapped inside a van that had just brought them to the factory. The heavy rains caused 2 Istanbul streams to overflow. State-run Anatolia news agency said that 1 building collapsed, but there were no reports of any damages from that collapse. Rapid population growth in Istanbul has meant that the town has now grown to over 15 million people. It's developed without adequate infrastructure, apparently. The main Ataturk International Airport was not affected by the floods. Flights continued to go in and out, but once passengers arrived at the airport, they had nowhere to go. They couldn't leave it. Meteorologists said that the rainfall that hit Istanbul was the worst in 80 years. More rains are forecast for northwestern Turkey today and tomorrow. Fairfax Financial has sold $1 billion worth of stock. It's going to fund its purchase of the remaining stake of Odyssey Re that it doesn't own. They sold 2.8 million shares of stock at $347 each. The Toronto-based Fairfax currently owns about 73% of Odyssey Re and is going to buy the remaining shares for $60 each. That's their offer anyway. Odyssey said last night that it's reviewing the Fairfax offer. If the deal doesn't go through, Fairfax said it would use the net proceeds to augment its cash position. No kidding. The proposed deal has received the backing of AM Best, which confirmed that its ratings on both Fairfax and Odyssey remain unchanged right now. Best said that Fairfax would benefit from the availability of 100% of Odyssey's revenues, which should be enhanced modestly, they said, by the elimination of expenses related to maintaining Odyssey's separate public listing. The one point that Best did raise is they warned Fairfax of the possibility of unanticipated shareholder objections to the proposed transactions. It continued by saying, quote, the company's global reinsurance business will remain somewhat challenged by market conditions, by its specific legacy issues, and by the need to integrate its various reinsurance properties at a strategic level. There's a report circulating around Monte Carlo right now saying that aviation insurance companies are experiencing one of their worst years on record. This photograph is a photograph of a piece of the wreckage of the Air France flight that crashed in the Atlantic earlier in the summer. According to estimates, the 3 plane crashes this year that we'll enumerate in a second will force insurers to pay more than $1.3 billion in compensation. The June 1 crash of the French Airbus in the Atlantic Ocean is now estimated to cost about $747 million. Add to this are the February crash of the Colgan airplane in Buffalo. That comes to $354 million. And the Yemenia Airlines flight near the Comoros Islands in late June, that's $240 million. According to the report, 2009 will probably go down in history as one of the worst years ever for aviation insurance. Not to be overlooked, of course, are natural disasters such as Storm Klaus, which struck France and Spain in January. That caused €2 billion euros worth of insured damage. And then, of course, the earthquake in Aquila in Italy in April is expected to cost insurers about 200 million euros. Speaking of natural damages, Hurricane Fred, here we have a picture of it. It's still way out to sea there by the Cape Verdes. That's now strengthened to a Category 2 storm. Forecasters say it could become a major hurricane later today. It's got winds of about 105 miles per hour. The Hurricane Center says that by the end of today, it could be at a Force 3 Category storm. Fred's about 500 miles west-southwest of the Cape Verdes. Meanwhile, out in the Pacific, way out to sea, Tropical Storm Linda is drifting slowly far out over the Pacific with maximum sustained winds of about 65 miles per hour. Probably will not cause any harm to any land. Well, some of the underwriters at IPC got some news the other day. They were told that they are surplus to requirements by Validus. IPC underwriters have been told that their services will no longer be needed. This is according to Reinsurance magazine. The underwriters who worked for IPC before it was taken over by Validus earlier this year are thought to have been well compensated for their departure. It's not known whether any of them have found new jobs. Validus has not returned any requests for comment. Stock market right now is up about 60 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors. A violent storm described as a freak tornado killed at least 20 people in South America yesterday afternoon by punching hundreds of homes off their foundations. Northern Argentina and southern Brazil and the small countries of Uruguay and Paraguay that are wedged between the two were hit by a fierce atmospheric mass packing rain, hail, and winds at over 70 miles per hour. In northeastern Argentina, 10 people died. More than 50 others were injured, and trees and power lines were toppled in a number of towns. Witnesses and local media described the storm as a tornado. In Brazil's southern states of Santa Catarina and Sao Paulo,